Welcome back to the next episode of my Volkswagen Crafter van build. In my last one I started to make the boxes to go on the back ladder rack on the back of the van, but I changed my mind right at the end. I've now decided I'm going to put two boxes so I can mount the shower unit in the top box and all the accessories and the water in the bottom, and I've decided to mount it on a rack. That way I can easily take the boxes off if I need to and mount other things such as these mud and snow tracks as well. So I've decided to make it out of some galvanised cable tray, similar to my roof rack I made out of the Unistrut. So I'm going to go through that today and show you how I've done it. If you're new to the channel, I'm in the process of converting this Volkswagen Crafter into a camper van adventure vehicle. I've fitted the windows, the insulation, made and fitted the ceiling, new flooring and fitted new wheels and tyres. Electric bed lift, upholstery, electrics with LED lighting, solar, and I've made and installed my own units. Also fitted a bull bar with an LED light, my arm awning, and I've made and installed my own roof rack system. Also a bike rack and now my external hot water shower. And I've got lots and lots of different ideas to come. As you've seen in the last video, this is where I put my rear box, but I've now decided to go for one on the bottom, but I've got to be careful where I place it because of the rear light cluster. So I'm going to install some kind of racking system just to move it over to the left so it doesn't interfere with the lighting. So the way I'm going to do this is by using a galvanised metal tray. It's actually a cable tray used in the building industry, but it is galvanised and it's metal, so it won't rust and it is really strong. This is the stuff. You can get it from electrical wholesalers. This is actually 450mm wide to suit my boxes. If you want it wider, they actually do it in a 600mm, or if you want it thinner, I think the next size down is 300mm. So I've measured the size of my boxes and added about another 100mm gap in between to allow the boxes to open. So the first thing I'm going to do is to give it a good clean, get rid of any grease and oil, and also prepare it for paint. Again, same as my roof rack, I'm going to use white vinegar and give it a good wash with that. That gives it a good key, similar to like an etching primer, and that allows me to paint it with 2 coats of red oxide and then 2 coats of black hammerite satin. So after it's dried overnight, then I'm going to set up my boxes just to make sure I'm happy with the position. So the shower unit one is going to go up the top and the accessory box is going to be on the bottom. I'm going to leave a gap in between them. That allows me to get my hands in to undo the catches. These boxes I got from Amazon. They are actually, I think, camera or recording equipment boxes, but they are completely waterproof. They're tough, they're thick plastic, and they've got a weather seal on the lid, and they've got 4 catches around them, so they're really secure. So after I was happy with the positioning on the actual rack, I took the rack outside and measured the ladder rungs just to make sure I put these brackets exactly on the rungs to hold the actual rack in place. Here's a close-up of the brackets I'm using. They're stainless steel, they're a U-shaped, and I've got them the same size as the ladder rungs, which was quite handy. I got these on Amazon, so I ordered 3 pairs of these. They are quite long, so you are going to have to cut them down again. But you also get, in each packet, you get 4 of these extended plates as well. These just give extra support for the nuts. Again, I'm swapping the nuts supplied with nylon nuts, or you could use thread lock instead. Just to take up any slack behind the bolts and the ladder rungs, I'm just going to insert a bit of rubber. This is something I had from a bit of a pipe. I'm going to cut them into smaller sections. It just acts as a buffer, just in case there is like a millimetre gap or something larger. It just stops any vibration and rattling. It's quite hard to get around the bends, so you can either soak it in hot water and try, but I use an end of a ring spanner just to push it through. It just makes it a little bit easier to get it on. As you can see, I've done all my preparation for the rack just before the final coat of painting. That stops any scratches or any marks, and then if I need to alter any holes, this is the good time to do it. Okay, so I went outside again just to make sure I'm happy where all my brackets are against my rear ladder. Then I'm just going to turn it over, zip off any protruding threaded bar that's come through. I'm going to nip it off flush with the actual nuts. So once I'm happy with that, I'm going to remove the brackets and then give it 2 coats of the black Hammerite satin finish. I find this gives it a good hard finish, and I leave it 24 hours to dry. When the paint's dry, then I reinstate my brackets. As you can see, it's come out really well. Looks something that you can buy in the shops for 10 times as much money as this has cost. Okay, so I'm not happy with these edges that are left. So what I've got over is some of my lipping I had when I installed my small windows. You can even buy this on its own on Amazon or something like that, or a window supplier. So I'm just going to hammer it on the sides. It's the same. It's exactly the same stuff as you would install in the windows. So it contains metal and it's covered in rubber. So this is what I'm going to use. So now they're back on the rack, you can see exactly where they're going to go, and the gap in between them is so I can undo the catches easier. So once I'm happy with the placement, then it's just a case of bolting them through the cases and onto the rack itself. So I'm going to use 4 M8 bolts in each case, and I'm going to use large penny washers and rubber washers as well. You'll see this later on in the video. That should take up any vibration, and the large washers will support the plastic. So after I've drilled all the holes out, I then give it a good hoover just to remove any of the metal swarf which can turn to rust, and then I just touch up all the holes with some hammerite. So now it's time to place the boxes back on the rack and then bolt them through. I decided that the holes I pre-drilled wasn't large enough, so I've just enlarged them with I think it's a 10mm, because the bolts are 8mm, and I just wanted a bit of play just to make it easier to get it on the rack. This is what I'm using to bolt the boxes to the rack. These are just, I think, 30mm rubber washers. I got these from Wix, or you can get them from B&Q, any builder's outlet, and 50mm penny washers, along with the stainless steel bolts and the locking nuts as well. They just make it a little bit more secure, and the rubber will stop any vibration. I think I might double up on the rubber washers, purely because there's going to be a gap behind the boxes and the nuts of the brackets, because so I'm going to have to pack the actual boxes away from the rack itself, otherwise the boxes will rub against the nuts that are holding the brackets in place. Now the holes of the rubber washers aren't large enough, so I just need to make them wider to suit the bolts I've got. So this is how I'm going to make up each fixing. So obviously used the bolt, I've used the large penny washers, I used 2 rubbers. That obviously takes up the room behind the bolt itself, or the nuts on the rack, then another washer, then the locking nut. So that's how I make up individual fixing. So this is how it looks after the bolts are through and the rubbers are done. Now I do change this the other way around, and I'll explain why later in the video. It'll become clearer, because yet again I've had another idea. So now I've got everything ready. I'm just going to test fit everything just to make sure I'm happy that the boxes go in the holes of my rack. Now rather than put my rack down on my bench, I'm just going to use a couple of bits of foam just to protect the paintwork from chipping. You will see in this box there's 3 holes at the bottom. This will become clearer once I install the actual shower unit. It's just where the connections fit up to. So once I'm happy with the fitting, then it's a case of just removing them, and then I need to undo the brackets, and then I can start fixing it on the actual ladder itself on the vehicle. So what I do is I gather up all my nuts and bolts and brackets together in a box, so I know exactly what's come off and goes back on again. So let's go outside, and I start by cleaning up the ladder rack, because this is the last chance I'm going to get before I put the rack on, and it's going to be a bit of a job cleaning it once the actual unit is fixed. So let's offer it up for size, and just to double check everything and I've got all the holes in the right place and the position of it. Don't forget I've moved it to the left to avoid my rear light cluster, so it gives maximum view from the vehicles behind. Now you can see where those rubbers come into play. It just stops any vibration, it takes up any gaps. Don't forget to use lock thread or your nylon nuts, because these will stop it from vibrating loose. So here we have the rack fixed in place. You can see it's away from the rear light, so once the box is on, the cars behind at a distance can see your rear lights. If any time you didn't want the boxes on the back, you can use it for other things as well. So you could put your max tracks on the backs or other different accessories. So early in the video I said I was going to change the bolts around, and this is what I meant. Instead of the bolts going through the boxes into the rack, I've done them the other way around. So I've change the bolt so it comes through the back of the rack into the boxes. Now the reason why I've done that, A, to make the boxes go on easier because it holds the bolts in place, and the other reason is I'm going to see if I can get some locking wing nuts, because that'll make it easier just to take the boxes on and off as I need to. That's the bottom one fixed into place. Now I've just got to fix the top one using exactly the same method, and once that's installed, the top one will be for my actual shower heater and the bottom will be for the accessories and the water pump. So the reason why I've installed the actual heater unit bracket into the box is because it easily unhooks, so I can use the shower unit elsewhere. Next time I get my Joolca hot water system unpacked, get it installed in the van, get it operational and working, and at the end I go through the cost of my last two videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.